This time, we are going to talk about infinite limits and limits at infinity. So both of these are in your modules, and the only difference is that ang aton nga infinite limits, of course, ang yasin ang answer is infinite. So, oops, let me just change color here. So the answer for infinite limits is infinite. So whether that's positive or negative. Meanwhile, limits at infinity just means that your x approaches infinite, whether that be positive or negative infinity. So let's have examples to show you what they are and how to detect them. Okay? So, one example is, ara man Japan sa inyo nga module. So, evaluate limit of 1 over x squared as x approaches 0. Now, most infinite limits are going to be fractions. Yeah, you'll observe that. And at this time, guys, balik naman kita sa batasan ta, nga ang aton nga table, may mga decimal places. Yeah? So, what we have here is that ang ato nga module nagamit siya sang mga numbers nga lapit sa 0. And the example here is that of 0.00001, and in square na siya, 1 over that value squared is equal to around, yeah, that's 10 billion, I'd say. 10 billion. Now, if negative naman Japon, same nga value, you'll square it anyway, so positive Japon ang imong makuha. With that, guys, we are able to plot a little asymptotic diri nga graph. Okay? Wherein as the value approaches 0, ang aton nga y, it just shoots up and up to positive infinity. Yep. To prove the point, we have here the table. We have 0.0001, 0.001, 0.1, and 1. Okay, ang 1 naton, although that's pretty far sa 0, it's just for comparison, no? Change color kita. Change color. Okay. So, yeah, as you can see, ang aton nga 1 might be somewhere around here, positive 1. And this is also positive 1 sa aton nga y-axis. And this is negative 1 sa aton nga x-axis. So, from there on, it just goes up and up until positive infinity. And that is if you decide to use 0 plus. Or, again, this is the right side. And if you ever chose 0 negative or the left side sa aton nga number line, right limits if you like, left limits if you like. You can also make use of negative 0.0001, negative mo lang ni. Anyways, it will still be squared and you'll still get the same value. Since both at the left and the right sides ng aton nga graph have the same outcome, which is positive infinity, therefore you can say that the limit for 1 over x squared as x approaches 0 is equal to infinity, positive infinity. Okay, so this is the answer for this example. Let's try another one. This one is also in your module. So, describe the behavior of f of x is equal to 1 over x near x equals 0. So, that just means let's pick some numbers that are very close to 0. So, the module tried it with the right and the left limits. So, for the right limit, you have 0.00001, and what they got is 100,000. If they use a negative, they got negative 100,000. We also added some values here on a table. Si negative 1 again, layo na siya sa 0, pero ginbutang ko lang na siya for example or for comparison purposes lang na siya. Okay? So, kung negative 1 ang ibutang ta, by the way, this is as x approaches 0 from the left side. So, if you're going to write negative 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 0.1 over, 1 over negative 0.1 is negative 100, and so on and so forth. So, substitute mo lang na siya. This is the values, and this is the graph for all those negative values. But if you're going to use the positive naman niya or the right limits naton, may ma-form ka mga graph pareho sini. Okay. Because of that, guys, ang aton nga limit para sa left kag sa right side lainay. Lainay sila nga duha. As you can see, ang aton nga answer sa module sa right side sang aton nga number line as x approaches 0 plus, ang aton nga limit is positive infinity. While sa left side sang aton naman niya nga number line as x approaches 0 minus, ang aton nga limit is negative infinity. Okay? So, what are we going to do sa exam? There is no need to graph anymore. What is important is you have to see whether ang aton nga left and right limits are the same. So, like earlier, no? Sa first naton to nga exam, oops. Sa first naton nga example, so you have only one answer. Because trying the positive or trying the right and left limits, isa lang aton nga answer. But, for the second example, duwa ang aton nga answer. And then, of course, draw a box around your final answer. And then, of course, use your table. So, common knowledge, Okay? Earlier, we were talking about infinite limits. Now, let's talk about limits at infinity. Like what we told you earlier, ang aton nga limits at infinity is just x approaching infinity. So, whether that's positive or negative infinity. Meron lang sa gamay nga process regarding this. So, if you see this sign, agoy, meron kami sang limuon. Subong, may limuon kami. So, it's sort of like factoring again, kind of. Ang inyo nga pangitaon is the term that has the highest degree sa variable. So, for these examples, it's 3x cubed. And then, sort of divide that term to the other terms. So, let me just show you. 3x cubed, no? I-divide siya sa 3x cubed minus si x squared, divide sa 3x cubed plus 2 over 3x cubed. So, this is what's going to happen. And then, miss, divide sa 3x cubed. Don't worry, we are also going to multiply that to 3x cubed. So, basically, your function is not affected because you multiplied the whole thing by 1. Diba? 3x cubed over 3x cubed is just 1 anyway. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so with that, ang aton nga problem, or problem, magini siya to, no? The 3x cubed is now, this guy is 1 minus x squared over 3x cubed, that is 1 over 3x, yeah? And then we have positive or plus 2 over 3x cubed. Hindi naman siya masimplify sa babaw. Now, remind yourselves that any number, let's say 1, divided by infinity is equal to 0. Or at least it approaches 0. So, let's just say it's equal to 0. Okay? And any number multiplied by infinity is equal to infinity. So, remind yourselves this because this applies. Okay? Now, 3 times positive infinity cube. Muna siyang matabo, no? We are substituting infinity now. And then this is 1 minus, hindi ko na nipag-substitute ha, kabalo naman kita nga 3 times infinity is infinity. And 1 over infinity is 0. The same applies to this term. Okay? And now we have, this is infinity times 1. So, in the end, the answer is positive infinity. And with that, we have proven that the limit of this function as x approaches infinity is equal to positive infinity. So, kaya lang. Kaya. Sige. So, let's make this guy smaller and solve the other part of the alansiran. Okay. So, it goes here. Here. Okay, so let's look for the limit of the same function, but instead, we are going to approach negative infinity. So, the same man Japon nang imuunta, pero pakita ta lang siya liwat, no? We are going to multiply the whole thing with 3x cube over 3x cube. So, distributed ang aton nga denominator. Minus x squared over 3x cubed plus 2 over 3x cubed. Now, this becomes 3x cubed times 1 minus 0 plus 0. The difference is that negative when cubed becomes negative again. So, we are basically multiplying by negative infinity. So, it's negative infinity times 1. Amo na siya guys, ng answer naton, negative infinity. Yeah. So, we have proven again that the limit of the given function as x approaches negative infinity is negative infinity. Okay? If you're worried about what happens sa multiply, may isa pa kita ka-example. So, let's close this. And let's try another one. Whoops, not that one, not yet. This guy. Okay. Yeah, we are going to prove that the limit of x to the fourth minus 5x cubed minus x as x approaches infinity is equal to infinity. And later on, let's prove that limiting the same function as x approaches negative infinity will give you positive infinity, Japon. Yeah. So, ano ang bantayan ta? Ang term na may highest degree ang iya nga variable. Sa ini nga function, ang mayara sa highest degree si x to the fourth. So, x to the fourth sagwa, and then pang-divide na siya sa sulod. Minus 5x cubed, x to the fourth, minus x to the fourth. Simplifying, whoops, this becomes x to the fourth, 1 minus 5 over x minus 1 over x cubed. Okay, simplifying further, x to the fourth, substitute na nga daan si infinity. So, ari na di siya. That's 1 minus, diba, hindi siya mahimo, 0 minus 0. All because, i-remind ta lang kamo, any number divided by infinity is 0. And any number multiplied by infinity is also infinity. Basically, it's the same thing. Any number added with infinity is infinity. Pero, so far, wala pa ta naman siya nagamit. Just remember those things. Now, infinity raised to the fourth is still infinity times 1. So, the answer for letter A is positive infinity. Yay! Ano na siya? The difference is that sa ikaduwa naton nga problem, ang aton nga inog limit is negative infinity. And the thing is, if I substitute negative infinity here, it still gives you positive infinity. So, positive infinity times 1 is still infinity. So, amula na siyang effect sina. Since kagina, naka-cube, so the negative still exists. This time, it's to the fourth, so positive na siya. If this guy is x squared, positive naman na siya Japon na infinity. No? So, yeah, just remember that. This time, guys, we have an example, but it's a fraction. You will also see this in your module. So, evaluate x cubed plus 1 over x squared plus 1 as x approaches infinity. So, if you see a fraction, guys, what you're going to look for is the variable with the highest degree pero sa denominator ka malantaw. Yeah, so sa denominator ka malantaw. Again, change color ta para tag. Okay. Ang denominator naton, x squared ang makita naton nga may pinakataas na degree. So, bisan x cubed man sa babaw, numerator man na. Denominator ginalantaw ta. And then, ang bilog naton nga function, i-divide ta kay x squared. Okay, so, siguro wala napakita din nila, no? Move ko lang. Oops. Erase na ne. Okay. So, what happens is, si x cube, i-divide ta sa x squared. Plus, si 1, gin-divide ta sa x squared over si x squared. So, dalong, divide mo na siya, plus 1 over x squared. So, for this, in this case, guys, don't worry about any multipliers. Kagi, nalang to ya sa, kung hindi siya fraction, amo to mayara kasang pang-multiply. For this case, wala na. Why? It's because, guys, we are dividing both of them, ang ato numerator and denominator, by 1 over x squared, which is quite equal to 1. Kagi na, multiply, subong divide. Just, basta mo na siya. Kanya-kanya nga diskarte So, with that, simplifying this, that's x plus 1 over x squared over 1 plus 1 over x squared. The same sa babaw. Adi, oh, yay! The same. Siya man ni Japon, Okay? Remember. So, x is substituting to infinity. And then, this is 0 over 1 plus 0. This is infinity over 1. This is equal to positive infinity. So, therefore, we can say that the limit of the function given as x approaches infinity is equal to infinity. Yep. Okay. In the far off chance nga ang given naton is as x approaches negative infinity, isa lang man imo substitutan, ari lang siya And thus your answer will become negative infinity. But yeah, example lang. Okay?